Howdy, howdy, howdy. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm having some issues with my phone. I can or with my computer. I can't tell if you can hear me or not. Uh, Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs. Well, just tell me in the text if you can hear me or not. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna sit here and chat along for a little bit. God, y'all are here talking away. I'm talking away too. Maybe you can hear me. Maybe you can't. All right. Tell me again. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it not working at all? Let's see. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Trying to figure this out right now. Do. Yes, you can hear me. Oh, good. All right. I don't know what's going on. I had a little issue last week. It's happening again. I can't hear the speakers when I'm testing everything out, but as long as y'all can hear me, that's all right. Okay, well, I feel better. I talk about driving me absolute crazy. Just when I think I got the technical world figured out, it all falls apart. All right, well, good. Well, welcome to Cliff Notes. Sorry for the delay. Let me start off with the big old SKD 143. Happy Monday night to all of y'all. I hope y'all are staying warm. Now, as I said last week, I don't know. There's a lot of room for complaining down here where I am at because I know y'all have it a lot worse in terms of the temperatures and everything. But it's been a little bit chilly down here. A good night for staying indoors. Hence, I got a little background here reflecting snow and ice and all of that. Let me see who all is out here and do a quick little hello. All right, let's see. Desiree Watts, howdy, Desiree. Karen Loveland as well, howdy, Karen. Carol Mosier is out here. Let's see. Kennedy Franken, Michelle Moore, Big Jake 88, Carol Mosier. Let's see. Y'all are talking away. I'm glad to see it. Patricia Miller. Just see. Brian Hostaler is out. Brian, thank you for letting me know I could hear. Y'all could hear as well. Karen Hummer. I know I'm repeating a couple of these. Amanda Lowe. Kent 427. 43 Huckster. Let's see. Go through these quick. Blue Sugi. Howdy. And all right, I'm just going to, let's see. Sheila Rivera, I'm going through these super fast now. KDMB 55, Hunter Green 3879, and I know I missed a couple of them because I went through a little fast. Oh, and Doreen as well out here. Oh, there you are, Doreen. Welcome to all of y'all. And I thought I saw that someone out here had a little bit of a fall. Was Karen? Was that you? Sorry, I'm going back through here real quick. Sorry, there you go. Oh, yeah, Karen. I fell before the store and went to ER. Nothing broke, but I fell. My arms and my legs aren't strong enough for me to stand up without my arms. I'm in a pickle. I hate to hear that, but I'm glad nothing is broken. Trust me, we've all had those kind of falls. I've had a few where I just absolutely fell on my patootie. Yeah, so I'm glad that you're okay, Karen. And hey, good reason to just stay indoors and get warm for a little bit. All right, a few comments, questions as we get in, and then we'll get into whatever y'all want to talk about. Carol Moser saying, how's everyone after the big storm? We got 10 inches in upstate New York. And Karen Hummer saying got hit hard in Nashville. The ice was buried to our trees. Wow, it was brutal to our trees. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. We didn't have that much down here. Oh, and then Kent is saying snow and sleet in DC, Maryland, Virginia. I think we all got some of that. We were right on the freezing line. They told us it's going to be freezing cold. It was a little brutal for us because was it Friday night? I guess Saturday night, it rained, not snowed. It rained all night long. They kept saying and it was like 32 degrees. They said as soon as that temperature drops just a little bit more, it's just going to turn into solid ice. It's going to be miserable. All the schools canceled school around here today. Turned out not to be that bad. We were right there on the edge of freezing. I'm not sure that we even had much ice on the ground in my part of Houston. Other parts got a little bit worse, and I know over in Austin, up in Dallas-Fort Worth, it's a nightmare. So we had it bad. Here's the thing that y'all in Maryland and upstate New York and other people, the advantage that y'all have over us is Texans do not know how to drive on snow and ice, at least not Texans from this part of the state. Now, Texas is a big state. You go up into the Panhandle, West Texas, some of those areas, we put up with a lot of it. But down here, not a clue. people think that, hey, if I'm driving a big truck, then I shouldn't have to slow down. They're normally the ones that you see doing things like building up a lot of speed so they can go up the overpass, and then they just slide right back down to the other side. So yeah, we don't have the best expertise when it comes into it. All right, very quickly, real quick, Tim Cox. Tim, thank you for the support. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Here's 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 a little support for showing up. I try. It wasn't for lack of trying. I just a little technical issues here. But thank you so much. I was worried that something may have happened because of the weather. Now we're pretty good. It was a good day to stay in. I will say I was supposed to have an early morning meeting on the far side of town. I had told the people I was meeting with, hey, if y'all make it, I will make it as well. I'm not going to be the reason we don't have this meeting. But I was incredibly happy when they called and said, yeah, we got too many people working from home. It's not going to happen. So we'll do it next week instead. So I spent most of my day just working from the house, fire going, and worked out so much better. That's not a good day to be outside at all. Blue Sugi is saying 19 inches here. Huh? And Brian is saying 8 inches. All right. Well, we got 0 inches. We didn't even get a dusting of snow or anything else. But that doesn't mean it wasn't still cold. I've got, y'all were talking about it being brutal to the trees. I already had the freeze from, you remember, was it 3 or 4 years ago? We had the freeze that half the state of Texas went down. We've got our own power system, and no, it didn't work that well. I lost about half of my avocado tree at that point in time. It eventually came back, and I had to cut away a bunch of branches, but it's a little more of an avocado bush than it is tree right now, but it did survive. So I told Sharon, I'm not letting that happen again. So I took a space heater and went out. In the old days, you could hang Christmas lights and the heat from the bulbs would keep it warm. Not anymore with these LED lights, but I took a space heater out there and had it kind of blowing up against the trunk of the tree. Hopefully that was enough to take care of it. We'll see. I got to have my avocados every August, if at all possible. But yeah, we're cold down here, but we're not dealing with some of the other stuff. I've dealt with it before. And y'all know me, I can't stand the cold. So yeah, it's no fun at all. Our Patricia Miller saying, beautiful backdrop. Isn't that cool? That's Russia. That's Moscow. It's basically Red Square over here. And then you've got, is that St. Peter, the Basilica? Why do I not remember that now? You've got Red Square, Lenin's tomb, and all of that. I gotta say, I've been to some places that were very cold. North Slope of Alaska, Dead Horse, Alaska, coldest I've ever been in my entire life. But the one really cool place that I was at from a snow standpoint was when I went to Moscow. I've been to Moscow a few times talking to oil and gas companies over there. The first few times I went was in the wintertime. Last 2 times I went were both in the summertime. Completely different cities. But it was so cool. The first time I went was in the wintertime because it looked just like you would expect. Dr. Zhivago and snow everywhere, and everyone's walking around wearing those big bear hats and bundled up in their trench coats and all of that. It was very cool. And the first time I was ever there, some people who worked there said, "Hey, let us get you a little bit of a tour while you're here, Cliff." And I said, "Yeah, I welcome it." So I was there over a weekend. So on the weekend, they hired a tour guide to give me a tour of Red Square, but also a tour of the Armory, which is their museum that's part of Red Square. And I show up, the tour guide is a little babushka, which is a Russian word for grandmother, I think. Little babushka shows up. She's about 80, 85 years old. She's about half my height. I mean, she truly was, well, I'm not 8 foot tall, but she's like at 4 foot tall. But anyway, she shows up. She speaks a little English, not a lot, but she speaks more English than I speak Russian. But she shows me the Armory, and that's where they have a lot of the czar's treasures and carriages and all kinds of ancient stuff. Also, the Fabergé eggs are there. A lot of big bells that they've used different times to toll at the churches and things like that. Just very cool. But the neatest part was walking out on Red Square and seeing snow everywhere. Gum's department stores there. They had an ice skating rink and people are out ice skating. And it was just incredibly cool. If you go out and look on Instagram or the teaser for the show tonight, you'll see me posing in Red Square, and actually me there and all that. So yeah, it was fun. I would love to go there again. I went after we had already thawed some relations out. When did I go there? Probably in the 2007, 2008, something like that. So it's not like I showed up and the KGB is following me around or anything, but I definitely did feel like people were paying attention while I was over there. So yeah, one of my favorite places that I've ever been, and I'd love to go back again and take Sharon with me. I took the subways everywhere I went there. It was funny while I was over there, though. No one in Russia smiles. They just don't. And someone told me it's because they spent too long without a lot to smile about, and it's just not in their character. Once you get to know the people, then they will open up to you. But when you're walking along anything, they all walk around so glum and just looking down and not doing anything at all in front of you. And y'all know me. I'm just practically skipping down a sidewalk anywhere I go. And so I'm walking around, hey, howdy, howdy. And I'm sure they're saying that was Americanas or whatever. Not real happy, but I blast doing it. Brian is saying, how many languages do you speak? I speak English. I speak survival Spanish. I speak enough Spanish. I used to speak a lot more. I at one time spent 6 weeks down in Venezuela, a lot of South American countries, Mexico. If you live in Texas, you speak a certain amount just because. But I speak probably a little more than survival Spanish. I actually can conduct technical meetings and things like that in Spanish. I can read well procedures and do a lot with that. Portuguese, I can kind of understand it sometimes because it's close enough to Spanish. Other than that, I know just a few words in Russian. Spasiba. Yeah, da. Bolshoi. I know a few words just because of when I was there. Same thing with Chinese. But that's it. I wish I spoke more. I think that's one of the real, not travesties, but I do wish there was more focus on other languages for when kids are growing up here in the United States. But with English becoming quickly the international language that everyone knows anyway, there's just not the same incentive here. But yeah, I wish I spoke more because I have so much fun. Whenever I used to travel, now sometimes I was in a country so quickly, in and out, I didn't have time for it. But whenever I had a chance, I always like to do a walkabout, get away from the touristy areas and go back into another area. And usually that involved me just walking. Most of the times it worked out okay. A few times I felt like, man, maybe you walked into the places you shouldn't be. But I always had fun doing that. Unfortunately, because I couldn't speak the language, it was always a little bit tougher. But yeah, I wish I spoke more. But no, I do. I can read Cyrillic. I can't speak Russian, but I know the alphabet enough that a lot of times, like the Russian word for coffee is basically coffee. They just took our reading of it, so they spell it out with Cyrillic. So whenever I'm watching, Hunt for Red October or something that has Cyrillic, Sharon, I think she gets a little irritated because I say, "Oh, that says so and so," or "That says so and so," just because I can sound out the Cyrillic of the Russian. Well, that's kind of cool. All right, let's see what do we have on here. Carol's saying, best episode of Traitors yet. Next week is supposed to be even better. Karen Hummer saying, did Rob make a mistake for voting for Lisa Rinna? All right, let's talk about the Traitors. Yeah, enough of my travel stories. Let's talk about the Traitors. First of all, I had so much fun last week because I actually went to a viewing party up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I watched the Traitors with Keanu and Adrian from last season of Big Brother. Quinn from the previous season was there. Kat and her boyfriend were there as well. So we had a lot of reality folks that were all watching it. Kat and her boyfriend showed up in big green velvet cloaks. I had a big black cloak as well. So we were the Traitors of the house for some reason. I tell you what, if I'm ever on Traitors, put Kat in there as well and make us both Traitors. And we could have, I don't know how we do, but we would have a lot of fun. But yeah, an incredible episode of Traitors to watch in front of a crowd. Oh my, we were all focused so much. Normally when I go to these viewing parties, Big Brother, Survivor, whatever, I can't always watch the episodes because I'm busy talking to people. I just Sharon says it. He won't stop talking. I won't stop talking. I'll have so much fun talking to everyone who's there. Wyatt Garrett was there. Long time follower and friend and listener out here. He can tell you most of these things I go to. I just talk the whole time. This one was intriguing enough. We all sat down and watched it, and it was incredible. When Rob was casting his vote, and there was a chance that, spoiler alert, if you have not already seen it, we're talking about last episode of Traitors, and there will be spoilers. When Rob had to cast that vote, and it looked like it could be Lisa at that time or not, we were all watching. And when he cast his vote for Lisa, our jaws dropped. We're all, oh my gosh. Now, was it spoiled or was it saved? I guess it depends on whether you're a fan of Lisa or not. But then Mark casts the last vote, and it turns out Ron goes home anyway. Lisa is saved, and Rob's rear end is probably saved as well. As far as the question, did Rob mess up? I don't think so, and I think it's done some damage. I don't think that Lisa and Candace are necessarily going to be so trusting of Rob at any point. And if they need to cut him loose, they aren't going to hesitate to do it. But I think he had a very good reason of why he couldn't vote against Colton by saying, look, I couldn't do it. People knew we were working together. If I'd done it, they would have immediately come after me next because they would have wondered about it. So no, I think he did what he had to do, but I don't have a feeling that that Lisa's going to be real forgiving of it either. Chris Bowes says, "Hey, Dr. Bowes, the doctor is in. The doctor in the house. What do you think of Lisa's defensive posture?" There's a lot of people in here that I guess it's just reflexive, but you see people who get called out as the traitor, and then they as a traitor, and they immediately say, "I'm not a traitor, but I think you're the traitor." I get it. You want to strike back, and I'm whatever you say is bouncing off me and sticks to you, kind of stuff. I get it, but I think that she had a good point by later after the round table saying, "Look, I'm a housewife. I mean, I am a housewife. That's how they've portrayed me on TV, but I'm so much more than that. And for you to expect me to 24/7 act like a housewife is wrong, and it's going to lead you down the right path, Colton." I mean, she tried to say that, and I get what she was saying. For those of you who may not be watching as much or a little behind, there were a lot of people saying, look, Lisa Reyna is a very vocal person. I think Colton said she should be acting a lot more like me or Michael or some of these people who are very vocal, and yet she's just kind of gone back into the woodwork and become very quiet, and that's just not her. There's a lot of talk about, hey, she just doesn't talk as much as we would expect. There was also a lot of accusations from that very first night when she voted against Portia, and that's really created some issues with her. But yeah, because of all of that, people started suddenly turning on her a little bit. She did get defensive, and I think to put the spotlight back on Colton was not a bad way to go. I just don't know that I would have done it as soon as he started making his suggestions, because it seems too defensive instead of you really thinking that's the way it is. But I'm amazed that Colton has gotten a slide as much as he has, considering he has been so forceful in taking the lead in so many evenings of going after people, and then it's not the right person over and over and over again. I think he's in trouble. Now, I don't know, and they left us on a cliffhanger. We don't know who the murder victim is going to be this coming up week. They're going to be murdered in plain sight. It is interesting. I don't know, coincidental. I just worked out well for the producers that the one time where we get the three traitors back up in the turret, and you've got Rob basically saying, hey, I did what I had to do. And you finally have some dissension within the Traitors cast. Happens to be the night where Lisa basically has the only say. She is the one that decides who touches her brooch and gets murdered. Sharon was laughing. I didn't know the difference between brooch and brooch. I thought brooch is where you broach a topic, and brooch is the thing that you wear that's the gaudy fancy jewelry. She said, no, it's the same pronunciation. So if you watch my Traitors recap, Sorry about that. It's not the Texas way of pronouncing it. It's just my way of pronouncing it. But anyway, so she gets the say over Rob. He doesn't have any choice at all. Because of that, does she take out Colton, or is it too obvious at this point in time? I almost think it's too obvious. I think if she took him out now, one, people are going to say, hey, he was calling you out, Lisa, and suddenly he disappears. That's a little suspicious. But even beyond that, if she was to murder Colton, then that takes a huge target away from the round table the following evening. And I think she needs Colton there. And she needs to spend the next 24 hours pushing everyone towards Colton as being the more logical choice. So I would not, if I was her, I would go out of my way to make sure Colton is not the one that gets murdered. You know who I would go after? I think Kristen. Now, I think she's played a good game and she seems very observant, but because of that, because she is already kind of suspected, I know she suspected Colton, but she's also suspected, I think, Lisa, and I just feel like she's very observant. She voted against Lisa, if I recall, in this last vote. I would go after Kristen. I don't think that'll stand out as much as if she went after Colton. And I think that may be one of the big targets that maybe Lisa needs to get out. But no, it was an incredible episode. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I hated to see Ron go, but I did love it. Karen Loveland saying, are the votes public so everyone knows who voted for who? Not watching, but saw a clip. Yeah, Karen, and I know some of y'all aren't watching as in-depth as others are. So I thank you for reminding me to explain a little bit. The votes are public. Everyone casts their vote. They write it on a little piece of chalkboard. When's the last time you wrote something with a piece of chalk? Man, all the time I was in school. Nowadays, it's all on whiteboards and all that. But they write the name of someone that they wish to banish. So you have to cast your vote. It's a little bit like Survivor. You have to cast your vote before you know how anyone else is going to vote. But then they go around the table, and one at a time, you have to reveal your vote. So it's not like Big Brother where you maybe can get a hinky vote and hide it. No, it's out there in the open. Everyone knows who voted for who. And so there's a lot, and everyone has a chance for a quick little explanation. Hey, sorry, Colton, but I feel like her argument is good. And you have been acting a little suspicious. What? You get a little bit of a time to explain why you did it. And some people are more vocal than others. Others just say, hey, I've voted every time for you, and I want to stay consistent. But you do get a chance. So at the end, so for last week, for example, we came down to the end where I think Ron and Lisa Rana both had 5 votes and Colton had 4 votes. And so it came down to Mark from Dancing with the Stars. Ballas, I think his name. Mark Ballas had the final vote. If he had voted, he could have voted out Lisa. He could have made it a 3-way tie, if I recall. But he didn't know before he cast his vote that it was going to come down to him. It's just the way it worked out. Well, then he's the one who cast the vote against Ron, sent Ron Funches out the door, and Lisa Rana survived, at least for one evening. I gotta say, I thought that Ron was going to do a little more. I think he's an incredible comedian. I watch him whenever he's on. He's really funny. I just feel like he was maybe a little over his head in this show. He's not used to how ruthless and strategic and brutal some of these people can be. Man, you got real housewives on one side. You got us gamers on the other side. There's not a whole lot of survival between those two. And I think Ron just is an incredibly nice guy, very sincere, but just didn't quite have what it took. He did a brilliant move, though. He said, look, I think the best way to help the faithfuls is for y'all to just go ahead and put my name down. He kind of just threw himself out there, threw himself on the sword and said, look, if it's going to help you vote me out, then you'll at least know I'm a faithful. Maybe that helps you figuring out what to do a little bit later. It was a little bit like Dan's funeral, where you're so, that's it. I'm done, guys. I'm not even going to try at this point in time. And it worked. There were several people who said, I don't think Ron's it. I don't think he's it. And as it turns out, he only got sent home by 1 vote. If he hadn't said what he said, it would have been a lot more, I think. So now I think Ron did a great job. From a drama standpoint, I guess I'm glad that Lisa's there, because it's going to create a lot more tension and drama between her and Colton, and maybe her and Dorinda, who has said she's been a little quiet as well. And do the housewives turn on another housewife in the form of Lisa? Does Candace cut her loose if the writing's on the wall? It's going to be a good episode. It's turned out pretty good so far. Blue Sugi is saying Rob the Snake guy, Rob the Snake guy for the win. I and then Carol saying, time for Colton to go. Haven't liked him since the Tiffany vote. I hated to see Tiffany go. I think she's an incredible person, incredibly strategic. Played the game similar to what I would have played. Colton, yeah, Colton's a little. It's his time. I just think it's his time to go ahead and finish it up. It's funny that was it CBR Peacock put out a thing saying we don't tolerate cyberbullying and kind of brought in some outside world to it. I don't know. I'm assuming based on what I've read, maybe it was directed towards Colton, that he's got some history, and I'm not going to go into it here. I wasn't really that aware of it until just recently, but apparently there's a lot of people. I knew there were people who didn't like Michael Rappaport. I didn't know as much that Colton as well. And I guess people are kind of going after Colton. I think that's who they're referencing on social media and all that. When we volunteer to go into these games, you got to realize that's part of it as well. But no, I think Colton may be a little trouble. Rob, I haven't watched a lot of Love Island. FYI, the very first season of Love Island USA was on at the same time as my season of Big Brother. We didn't see a clip. We got to see like a little 2-minute intro to it, and we knew it was going to be on right after Big Brother several nights a week. We were scared to death that was going to be the show, and everyone's going to be talking about Love Island and not even paying attention to Big Brother, and we were going to be an afterthought. We were sitting there thinking, they may cancel us halfway. There's people in this house they don't like anyway. They may just shut us down and make it all Love Island all the time. So I didn't watch the first season. I've watched a little bit since then, but I didn't know anything about Rob coming in. He actually has done pretty well. He seems a very charismatic guy that is friendly with everyone. He's developed some tight bonds that are going to help protect him going down the road. I haven't really seen a lot of people mentioning his name so far. So props to Rob. He's kind of the dark horse, unexpected person that seems to be doing well. I think he's doing well. I think Kristen's been doing well, even though I just got through saying maybe she could be a target, but I think she's been playing well. Johnny Weir kind of stepped in this last episode. Now, personally, I think having 8 people in an alliance just makes me shiver even thinking about an 8-person alliance. Just don't call them grateful. But I think 8 people is probably a little too big. But Johnny's got the right idea. We're getting a little further into the game where you could have a core group of people control the votes. And it's not even always about finding the traitor. It's just protecting your little group of people. Now, unfortunately, in his group of 8 people, I think 2 of them were Candace and Rob. So he's got 2 traitors within his group. At some point, you're going to have to start shooting for the traitors and getting them out the door. You can't have a faithful and a traitor both win. So eventually, you're going to have to do it. But I think kind of the mid game, which is where we're getting into, I don't know that's as vital right now. It's all about just protecting yourself when there's fewer targets out there. So we'll see how Johnny does. I never have thought of him as being a strategic type player, but he's starting to show a little bit here and there. Our Blue Sugi is saying Rob, Lisa Reyna, Tara, and Johnny Mora, final 5. Let's see. Let me think about that. I could maybe see that. I think she's going to have too much attention on her. I'm not sure that Lisa makes it there. Mora is a bit of a wild card right now. She seems very easy to rub people the wrong way. I mean, there's times where I felt like she took some things personally where maybe you shouldn't worry so much about it. Things like getting carried in the carts and things like that. I just sometimes I can see maybe people getting a little peeved at her, but she also has not been a big target by anyone. So yeah, I could see her being a final 5 of some sort. One suggestion for Traitors, and it's a successful franchise all over the world. So why do they want to listen to me? I do wish, though, when they had these challenges, that there was a little bit more incentive for the Traitors to do something different, to sabotage it in some way. Kind of like the old show, The Mole, where their job was to not let the other people get the money. As it is, because they're trying to win the same pot of money. Yeah, there may be times where they'd like to take a shield, things like that, but they're still playing with the faithful. It would be fun if there was a side pot of some sort, or a different incentive for them. You're going to get $5,000 added to the trader pot if you can convince at least one person to do something. I wish there was something they did like that to create a little bit more conflict sometimes in these challenges, because I feel like the money that's being won is just kind of an afterthought. We don't It doesn't really have a huge effect on their strategic play necessarily. I'd love to see that changed up a little bit and have a little bit more strategy. I mean, we've seen some of it. Do we take a shield or do we not take a shield and protect everyone? But I think there's more you could do with that as well. Who knows? But yeah, it's a great episode. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Hold on a second. Let me see. We've got Ma. I don't think I said howdy to you when I was checking earlier. I'm glad you're right here. Totally forgot it was. Oh, there you go. Totally forgot it was Monday. Pure irony. I was watching Cliff's Traitors recap and took a break to listen to the Chopin for my arrangement and saw he was live. Well, there you go. Now, I got to say, if you're watching my Traitors recap, then you're listening to Chopin, and then you're back to listening to me, you're a real roller coaster of cultural activity there, Ma. I not a I love classic music. Some of it. I love all of it. It's incredible what they can do. I don't know as much about Chopin as Mozart and Beethoven and some of the ones that everyone hears about. Toccata and Fugue in D minor. That's the one that I love more than anything else. All right, Boss saying snow days are throwing me. Hey, join the crowd. Everyone's just a little bit. We had Martin Luther King Day last week, last Monday. We didn't. I still had to work, unfortunately, but we had that last week. Then we had snow day today. Half the people were out. School shut down. All of that. So, yeah, welcome to yet another long weekend for some of y'all. Enjoy it while you can. Hey, it's gonna be Easter before you know it, and then it's gonna be Big Brother season, and every day is a weekend because we'll be watching the live feeds and all that. All right, Hunter Green is saying putting in Big Brother audition tape tomorrow. There you go. I love to hear it. Hopefully you'll see me on Big Brother 28. Hunter, I would love to see it. We need another cowboy in there. That would be so much fun. I talked to a couple of people at the viewing party this last Thursday who've sent in audition tapes, and it's interesting. There's a couple who have sent in a few tapes and nothing has happened. I talked to one person who I can't remember what season he said, season 16 maybe. He made it all the way to the semifinals. He sent in a tape then, I think last year, and didn't get a call back or anything. And he was wondering, do I need to do something different? There's so much randomness as far as which person looks at your I say videotape. You don't have videotapes anymore, audition tapes. There's so much random. I think the way this works is basically all of these casting groups. They look through all of them, and you almost find someone that you want to champion. Oh, this person is going to be fantastic. I really think he'd be great on the show. And they help push you through to higher and higher levels. And so sometimes it's just a matter of your tape getting seen by the person who sees something special about you. I had that happen. I showed up, I did my casting call. I got a call back and shot some video and things like that. And quickly realized that there was one person who was kind of my contact within production and casting. And then later I discovered that he was very much wanting me to get on. I think it helps with their prestige that someone that they said, this person's a fantastic pick. If they make it on and they do well, then they kind of get to do this a little bit. So you end up with people on the production team that are watching out for you. And so sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right person. I truly think you could send in exactly the same audition tape. Some years you'll get a call back and others you won't. So don't ever get down on yourself that you've sent in tape before and it hadn't quite worked out. It only takes once. It only takes a single time. All right. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I'll tell you on here. I'm not breaking anything at all, but when I was doing my casting, when I was doing finals, as you can imagine, there's a lot of people that they want to make sure that you don't ever see anyone else that could be on the show, and they're paying attention and all this stuff. A lot of extra people everywhere that are watching and part of the casting process. Well, when we got done, I thought, they all these people have been so nice to me. And I know for them it's just a job. For me, it was an incredible experience. For them, it was just a job. So I ended up writing a letter to them and said, "Hey, casting team, I just want to thank you. I know that y'all put up with a lot of stuff with all those divas that come in and all that. And I just want to thank you for always being so friendly and making us feel so comfortable. And it means a lot. And this is such an incredible experience. And y'all are part of it just because y'all treated me the way you did. So thank you." And it was just a quick note. And I gave it to him, said, "Could you just please give this to the casting team?" And it was it. And it was absolutely from the heart, absolutely sincere. But I gave that to him. Do I think that made the difference? No, probably not. I think they already know yes or no what's going to happen by the end of finals. I don't think that was the deciding factor, but I do have a lot of respect and admiration for the people who do this casting. And no, I'm not kissing up to get on any other show. I just I know you get some of the top people that get a lot of notoriety and fame and all of that. There's a whole lot of the people that just show up just peripheral and all that put up with a lot of stuff. Come down at 3 in the morning to give you a new DVD because you got booted and you can't sleep for a solid, a lot of things like that. But anyway, I don't know if I've told this story before, but yeah, I wrote them a little thank you note, and I just was sincere in letting them know that it was such a cool experience for me. I hope y'all get the chance, Hunter and the rest of y'all. I hope y'all get the chance at some point in time to get on the show, but even just to get a little further. So incredibly cool. If that's as far as I'd gone, it still would have been quite a life story for me. So yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for y'all. Our Hunter is saying, I'll definitely show you my tape. Let me see it. I'm happy to do it. I told several people on Thursday, say, look, someone asked me, said, should I try to create? Oh, because they were talking about Keanu. They said, Keanu was obviously he's a big athlete, kettlebells and all that. And yet they just kept focusing on him being a dungeon master. And so this person said, should I maybe create something else or focus not on what I think makes me stand out, but if I can just find some weird something and really drive in on that instead. And I told him, said, it's okay if you have these little peculiar things, mention some of those, but I wouldn't make that your whole story. They're going to decide that. Make sure you do what makes you stand out. And then they'll start asking you questions, and they may hit on one or two things that they think is very unique. Why I was in there, cowboy, petroleum engineer, all that stuff. But I mentioned at one point that I'd had a pet skunk as a kid. Well, then they start asking a lot of questions about that. That wasn't my prime deal, but I think it just kind of added to the overall picture of what they had. And I think sometimes that's the case. So yeah, don't ever make stuff up, but come up with the facts that maybe you think they're going to find very interesting as well, because they may ask you, and you want to have some of those loaded up in case they say, "Hey, tell us about your child. Anything weird?" Have some stuff saved up that you can mention at that point in time. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Michelle Moore. Michelle, how are you doing, my friend? Are you watching Suddenly Amish? No, but I should. And is Russia haunted? Well, let me tell you about Russia. Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of haunts going on in this place. Of course, do they say boo? If you're in another country that speaks another language, do ghosts still say boo, or do they say Rashipa? I don't know. Is there some other scared term that ghosts in other countries use? I don't know. I got to track down Grok and ask Grok that, or Chat GPT or one of those. I'll tell you this. When I was in Moscow the first time, even though it was freezing cold, I still tried to do my walk around a little bit. And at one point, I walked around this one building, and it was the most massive, imposing building I'd ever seen. Just huge, right in the middle of the city. And I said, this is interesting. And I took several. Now, this was before digital cameras, unfortunately, because otherwise I would have taken so many pictures. But I took a few pictures of this building. I said, God, it's just really impressive. Went home, and only after I went home and showed some pictures of the building did I discover that this isn't just any building. This is KGB headquarters that I kept circling around. I'm glad they didn't yank me into that building, but this was KGB headquarters. And they said, yeah, you didn't want to get pulled into the basement of that building because they'd never see you again. And at that point in time, then the next time I went back, I looked at the building again and pictured everything that took place within there. And if there was ever a place to be haunted, now you got Lenin's tomb. Lenin's probably floating around there somewhere as well. But I have a feeling KGB building probably a little bit haunted as well. So it's good. I forgot what your first part of the question was at this point in time. I got off on a tangent. But anyway, yeah, probably a lot of hauntings going on in Russia. All right, let's see. Karen Mosier saying, did Extraction start yet? I know Sandra from Survivor is on it. All right, well, I got some sad, well, maybe not sad news. For those of you who may not know, it's actually on right now. It's on at the same time as my show. Come on, guys. You know Mondays are claimed, right? I guess Fox is trying to eat into my audience a little bit. But no, it is on right now. So after we get done here, Sharon and I are going to eat. We're going to watch it. Yes, Sandra is on it. Also, Sis from my season of Big Brother. Now, neither Sandra or Sis are going to be out in the wild. They're out in the woods. They're back in the bunker watching their family members suffer instead. I have a feeling Sandra and Sis are going to handle their family suffering a lot more. Sandra's probably going to be sitting there saying, "Yeah, I went through worse. It's no big deal. I'll be out there 39 days. Then we'll talk about extracting that." Sandra's probably not going to put up with a whole lot of anything. Sis, on the other hand, probably is going to feel horrific for anything that's happening. I think it's her sister that's out there. She's probably going to be having a meltdown, knowing Sis that's one of her relatives is having to put up with as much as they put up on there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yes, it is on at the same time as my show. So for those of you who watch that show and are watching me on replay, thank you that we can share the world together, me and Fox Television. For those of you who are watching me live, it'll be on a repeat, I'm sure, as well. All right. With that being said, what else is going on? We talked about Traitors. We talked about cold. So many cold places I've been to. Moscow was cool. I went to Kazakhstan one time, far western Kazakhstan, which used to be one of the Soviet republics. It's so funny because when I stayed there, they didn't have hotels. This city was not the kind of place that tourists ever go to. As far as I know, they didn't have any hotels. In Soviet Russia, we have no hotels, nothing. So instead, there was an apartment complex, and my company had a couple of apartment units rented, and anyone who came in would stay at these apartments. And so that was okay. So we were staying in an apartment complex with a lot of other folks and everything. It was while I was there, I binge watched The Long Way Around, which was the documentary of who was Anakin, not Anakin, who was Obi-Wan, the young Obi-Wan from the second trio of movies. Why can I not remember? Blonde-haired guy. Yeah, y'all help me out. Why can I not remember that? Played Obi-Wan. I'm gonna wait for y'all to tell me because it's driving me crazy. But played Obi-Wan in the 4th, 5th, and 6th Star Wars movie. Anyway, Long Way Around himself, Ewan McGregor. I'm getting old. That's horrible. Big Jake 88. Thank you, Big Jake. I'm glad. I knew someone would say me. Ewan McGregor and his buddy, I can't remember his buddy's name either, travel around the world. They start in the UK. They travel, I think they head east on motorcycles. And the idea is to make it all the way around the world. I think they had to put their motorcycle on a ship once or twice, but ride motorcycles all the way around. I absolutely loved it. And it was so cool watching that while I'm in Kazakhstan, surrounded by very Russian type culture and everything else. But we're in this apartment, snow everywhere, just absolutely miserable. But we would drive to the office. And I quickly learned that in this little city, your status within the city was based on where you lived within the city. And it's because of this. When it was a Soviet Republic, they had built one huge central heating station, and everything was powered by steam heat there. So they had this huge steam plant. And if your apartment or home, there were a few homes there, but if your apartment or home, Dhaka or whatever, if it was close to the steam plant, you got more than enough steam and you'd just be sweltering hot. Yeah, there were people who would have to cover their vents up with towels and do everything possible because so much steam was coming into their apartment building. So if you were close, you didn't suffer in the wintertime. As you went further and further away from the steam plant and got on the other side of town, by the time you got to the end, there was very little steam left when it was super cold out. So those people would just about freeze to death. So the further you were from the steam plant defined how well off you were in this city. Such a strange environment. Our office was on the 2nd floor of the fire station. So we always figured, well, we'll always be safe if there's a fire here. But right in the middle of some big conference call or something, you'd hear everyone running around and the things that the trucks take off and all that. So just very, very weird living in that place. You go into the grocery store. I remember going in and looking at just an entire aisle of nothing but bottled water in plastic bottles. And I told the guys, I said, "Wow, they really like their water in this city." They said, "Yeah, no, the water is only the first third of the aisle. The last 2/3 of the aisle, that's all vodka. It's just they don't put it in glass bottles. It's easier just to put in plastic bottles." So over there, you go in and you buy a 32 pack of a Vodley normal vodka and take it home instead. As cold as it was, not necessarily the worst thing in the world to do, but yeah, very, very weird place to live, but yeah, or to live or to work or to stay. They did a lot of nuclear tests there. And as a result, the locals were afraid to work on the oil rigs because they thought they were all radioactive. We had people show up wearing full scuba gear so that all of their skin was protected because they didn't trust the Russian government. We didn't trust the Russian government either. We sent out special Western companies to test everything and make sure that the radiation wasn't too bad. And they checked and said, "Nah, you're good. You can work on the rig." So I guess that made me feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. All kinds of stories from when I was in Kazakhstan. All right, guys, what else is going on? Did I miss anything else? Kennedy is saying, "Thanks for cheering me up." Let me fix my eyesight here. Sad because I can't go on field trip with mom. Kennedy, I'm sorry about that. I should have mentioned earlier. I saw that you were feeling a little down in the beginning. Sorry about that. I've had times where there was things I wanted to do, or things just didn't work out, and I know it's frustrating. And I'm sorry that you don't get to go on the field trip, but uh, it, as down as you're feeling now, just keep reminding yourself something incredible is going to happen before too long. And as down as you're feeling now, you're going to feel that up at some point. I'm sorry about that though, and I'm happy that I can be out here to cheer you up a little bit. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to hang with you guys and just make our Monday evenings a little bit more fun, because no one likes a Monday night normally, right? Right. So, all right, guys. With that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Thank y'all for hanging with me on a Monday night. Stay warm, stay dry. Hey, if you got 10 inches, go out and do a little snow skiing or something. God, I'm glad I can't stand the cold. Y'all know that. But y'all have a fantastic week. Thursday night, Traitors, going to be a fantastic episode for those of you who are watching. I'll be watching. I'll be putting out a recap soon after that as well. And for everyone, I'll be back next Monday night. Until then, y'all have a good one. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, hitting the old thumbs up. That's always appreciated. But more than anything else, y'all just stay safe. Have a fantastic week. Hey, if you're trapped inside, eat some good food. Have fun with that. Hot chocolate. What I want to hear next week. What's your go-to food when you're bundled up in a blanket? It's cold outside. You got the lights off and you're just sitting there enjoying being all snuggled up. I want to hear what your go-to food is. So keep that in mind, and we'll talk about that next Monday night. Guys, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye. Say it like the Traitors.